When I first worked in British television, it was considered to be the best in the world. Does anyone still think it is? Back then, television had the ambition to educate, to inform, as well as to entertain. But today, British television so often fails on all three counts. It is abysmal.
I can't bear it. You know me, my attitude to television. I just want to do it and go home and have my dinner.
We've just come through a summer of wall-to-wall reality television. Well, at least that's its official title. In fact, Big Brother is a cruel exploitation of social inadequates who'll do whatever it takes to become celebrities.
Don't feel bad. We're leaving that here forever.
Congratulations, Mikey.
It manipulates and controls behaviour for the benefit of an audience demanding extreme levels of entertainment.
Soaps plug up the evening schedules with more and more sordid and contrived storylines. Meanwhile, what's on the other side? More of the same and boring, bloody football.
And I do think that television at the moment is going through a bit of a kind of pooey phase where nothing's really standing out.
Most of us are fed up with what's on offer, fed up with being patronised.
You turn on to news at 10 these days. It looks like a game show.
Can we ever regain trust, respect, and have affection for an industry that has so diligently lost its way? Well, that was Selina Scott in 1985, and this is Selina Scott, obviously, now. I mean, I hardly recognise her, and I hardly recognise British television today. But let's get this clear from the beginning. I'm not doing this programme because I'm desperate to be back on the telly again. I've had plenty of opportunities. But British television has bypassed my interests, things I find funny, things I want to know about, a quest for information of the outside world. All these things I simply do not get on the box today. And if it doesn't relate to a woman like me in her 50s, and there are millions of us out there, who the hell does television relate to?
There's not enough football on. I think football should be on 24 hours a day.
Not a matter of choice. I think your choice is probably less now because everybody's going for the same genre. Everybody wants to be a celebrity this or a celebrity that, and you can't. It's just rotation on a theme. You know, it's just a variant every time. So.
Big Brother, reality TV shows, such things like that. I just don't like them at all.
Hate it, absolutely hate it. It's like watching paint dry. Don't understand why anybody would watch it.
I think she's past the 40s.
42. She looks like she's had a couple of kids, grey hair, hips.
52.
One of the most popular genres today is what I call cruelty TV, and women seem peculiarly prone to it. Take 10 Years Younger, Bikini Special. For the uninitiated, this is a gruesome programme where women who don't like the way they look in a bikini are encouraged to parade around in one, while Joe Public tries to guess their age.
From a flattering 38 to a frightening 55. The numbers are in. Jane's average age,
the more stinging the
46.
criticism, the better the programme. I can't imagine who genuinely learns anything from a show like this. It's simply designed to knock people down.
And we honestly haven't staged this sea of filth.
Can I have a drink?
And here's another delight clogging up the schedules, Britain's Worst Wife. It's all in the title. 4 women, nominated by their husbands, compete to see who's the most slovenly. I wonder what Emmeline Pankhurst would have made of it.
Oh my God!
Like all exploitative programmes, the more lethargic and lazy the women come across, the more successful the show. Why is it that women subject themselves to this kind of treatment? Why don't they walk out of the show, get new husbands? But of course we can't have strong women as role models on TV, can we? That would never do.
If you just did a bit every day,
yeah.
You wouldn't have things like this to deal with. That is a cup of coffee.
Now this top has got to never come out again, okay? And the reason is, more than anything, the show...
Meanwhile, the acerbic fashion duo Trinny and Susanna pull in the viewers with their peculiar brand of girly matiness. The knife goes in so that the reconstruction can begin.
You may remember I presented a fashion show on TV, The Clothes Show. in which we celebrated or tried to celebrate what women wanted to wear. This is the modern day equivalent of putting a woman in the stocks. It's supposed to be for a laugh as well. I don't think it's funny. This woman has just been humiliated on national television.
But the pattern, you are wearing a curtain, Linda. Oh!
Trini and Susanna have emerged as kind of modern-day torturers. They're modern torquemedas, and they're absolutely brilliant at getting some poor woman into a changing room and telling her how absolutely dreadful she looks.
I think you just need to
pull them up.
You need a wonder bra
pushing them forward now.
Women watch all this with fascination because in their dark hearts they feel there's a bit of themselves in there and they want to know how to make themselves look better so this terrible visitation will not come on them.
When I got my first job in TV, we had only 3 channels, BBC One and 2 and ITV. Now there are nearly 350 channels and a universal glaze of electronic music that drives me crazy. We should be spoiled for choice, but we're not. Broadcasters have failed to deliver what was promised.
What's going to happen here is that the audience is going to fragment, and one is going to be able to direct much more different segments of the audience. And I think that will also create much satisfaction.
The plethora of channels now available to us should satisfy all our viewing needs, but most of what's on offer leaves me cold. Too many programmes debase contributors, humiliate contestants and patronise viewers. This summer's Big Brother offering from Channel 4 lived up to its reputation as a manipulating, nasty piece of work. The makers Endemol pushed the boundaries on this, the 7th series, bringing together an assorted array of misfit housemates.
Big Brother has now taken on the role that Bedlam took on in the 18th century. Bedlam was the lunatic asylum where the rich aristocrats of the day would pay the jailers 1 penny to go and jeer and goggle at the mad freaks, weirdos, lunatics who inhabited Bedlam. It was a disgraceful and disgusting thing to have done, and quite rightly, in 1770, it was outlawed because it was thought to be completely dangerous to the health of the inmates and a degenerate activity. Somehow or other, 200 years later, we've managed to bring it all back again.
Channel 4 say that the welfare of the Big Brother contestants is of paramount importance and that they have a comprehensive aftercare system. But those who work regularly with the mentally ill are worried that playing games with the housemates frequently does send them over the edge.
They are exploiting people who are already extremely vulnerable, extremely frail, and they're parading these frailties, but they're not parading them in the way that they really affect people's lives. They're parading them as entertainment. And of course the images go back to the sort of Christians, you know, thrown into the lions, to the gladiators contests. And you think, but this is totally debasing not only the person themselves, but also the illness that they are almost representing.
Which is why I guess Endemol threw a Tourette's sufferer and Shabazz, the self-confessed wacky-packy poof from Glasgow, into its own lion's den for a comprehensive mauling.
You do realise this is a TV game show?
Yeah, I know.
Fabulous, good. Then stick with that.
Oh, I can't play your game, man.
Well,
it's
stick
trying
with
to do
it.
my head in, though, don't it? Because I can't.
The whole point is to do your head in.
What? No, it's not.
Yes, it is. That's the whole point of this.
Okay, we're going for a rehearsal.
These students have just completed a course in television production at the University of Central Lancashire in Preston. They're also the target audience for Big Brother, so presumably they at least love it.
That's not reflecting British reality, it's reflecting a lot of freaks, basically.
But is it entertainment?
Definitely. Yeah, I think people, it is entertaining. It's like, once you've started watching it, you can't stop watching it. And because everyone else is watching it, you go to work the next day and everyone's talking about it.
Do you watch Big Brother?
No, I can't stand it. But I think for the people that go on it, it's a calculated risk. They're aware that it could go completely the wrong way for them, but there's that chance that it could go the other way and they become the next Chantel or Jade Goody, God forbid.
in the auditions, they say, I'm here, I want to be famous. So like Laura was saying before, like on Big Brother, they know what they're getting themselves into because they want that fame and they'll do whatever it takes to get that fame.
If I want to relate to other people, I go to the pub with friends or whatever. I want to watch television for escapism, information, entertainment that's been thought out, not something that's just let's see what happens kind of thing.
Reality television now is really just cheap trash television in which non-entities from the suburbs or the far-flung corners of the country are put into a television studio for their 5 minutes of fame. They then have their 5 minutes of fame, and then they're flung back into an anonymous lifestyle again.
Have I let myself down?
Not at all, Shabazz.
Shabazz had his 5 minutes of fame on Big Brother back in the summer, didn't he? Shabazz, for those of you who can remember, was the character who said that he was going to kill himself live on air. The press dubbed him the mincing Muslim. He himself called himself a wacky-packy poof. I mean, it gives you some idea of where we're going with these kinds of shows.
I have to go and maintain.
Thank you, Shabazz. And goodbye.
Since walking out in the early stages of the show, Shabazz is considering suing the makers of Big Brother. And who can blame him? At the end of his short-lived stay in the house, he looked and sounded like a broken man.
The quickest way of making an animal neurotic, it was called conditioning neurosis, experimental neurosis, was to give this random reward and punishment. Now, that has great echoes in Big Brother, does it not? If they did that even with hamsters, after random reward and punishment, this poor animal would be in the corner of the cage, they did with goats too, in a state of depression, unable to eat, unable to face their fellow peers, sometimes putting their heads out of the bars so they got eaten off by foxes.
It's astounding that in our so-called civilised society this kind of cruelty passes as entertainment. Does anyone care about what happens to contestants after the show?
Some people it is probably forever a stain, forever a trauma, you know, a tattoo that they cannot erase from their minds, because it's not as though you're destigmatising these kind of illnesses, it's as though you're stigmatising these kind of illnesses because you're making people freaks. You're making them behave in a strange way, and unacceptable way.
Of course, it's we, the viewers, who are fools, betrayed by television, but eager and ready to devour a diet of trash that passes as amusement. Ben Frau is controller of features and entertainment at Channel 5. He developed shows like The Farm and Cosmetic Surgery Live. Is Ben proud of today's television? What turns you on TV these days?
Not a lot. If I'm really honest, not a lot. I, like probably many people, struggle to find programmes that I can really engage in, that I really want to watch, that are a treat and a joy to watch, that I want to rush home and watch.
What's the first thought that goes through your mind when you're about to commission a programme?
I wouldn't commission a programme to be cruel. I might commission a programme in which there would be confrontation, but I think we have a responsibility not to ruin people's lives.
Reality TV does not reflect my life in any way. I run a farm in Yorkshire, where I'm also involved in a number of conservation projects. The programmes we see on our screens hardly reflect my way of life, or for that matter, the majority of country people. What has happened to our TV that we can find so few programmes that families can sit down and enjoy together? The National Museum of Photography, Film and Television in Bradford records the history of TV and has a collection of family-orientated programmes, including some I made.
Television is now more focused on catching us, hooking us, often for commercial imperatives. And so there are lots and lots of programmes out there competing for us that aren't necessarily trying to stretch us, they're just trying to get us as we are already.
Television has become so brash and in your face that Ian Potter finds he has to exercise self-censorship on some of the programmes available to view at the museum. He has to be careful that children can't see inappropriate images.
Essentially, it's We try and bring the home situation that we would like them to have at home into the museum, in that there are programmes that are post-watershed. Some things have been released on video and there are 12 or 15. We just try and apply, when things have been certificated, that certificate and the watershedding of the broadcasters to the content we've got here.
The changes then in British broadcasting over the time that you've been here, what have they been?
The television of the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, although it's still a box in your room now, it's a different box entirely. It was a box that you had to get up and tune. It was a box that you would sit in the armchair and watch and think, actually, I'm not so keen on this, let's see what the other options are. And they were limited options, and you would quite often put up and shut up, A, because it was hard to retune, and B, because actually there weren't that many alternatives. It's about hooking people in very, very quickly
for money
into very short ideas. But it's because, I mean, essentially this is why we've bemoaned the state of television, although actually I think there are some great things in it. I think there's always a danger that we forget that television in the past had the things that were dreadful then, whereas the things that are dreadful now, we can't avoid them. They're all over the place.
Okay, ready on the floor? Going for a rehearsal in 5, 4.
Hooking people in very, very quickly? Well, the same hooking in and dragging down inevitably also affects young people desperate to work in this most fashionable of industries. The Preston media students are pragmatic.
You know, it's a cutthroat industry, and you've got to make shows that you don't want to make. You've got to. It's at the end of the day, as you were saying about producers, it's all about money. It's all about making money. Same on production side. If you want to work in TV, you're going to have to at some point make something that you don't want to make. You're going to have to work with Jade. You know?
So when you go out there and you join a company and they say to you, oh, by the way, we've got a contract to do something similar to Big Brother, will you say, I'm sorry, my morals tell me, my thing tells me I can't?
No, I'll be a total hypocrite and take whatever work I can.
You've got to.
I have to.
Well, that's where the money is, isn't it?
Yeah.
The genre is where the money is. Yeah. Definitely. It's like that, like all these programmes at the moment that are based around quiz shows at night time and all like these Quiz Mania and The Mint and all that, that basically it's just totally crap television, but you still watch it.
When it comes down to it, you're going to take the money and run.
I'm trying. You've got to find the kind of mixture between cynicism and realism.
Because there's so many of us, we'll take like anything we get offered, we'll take because we have to, and that's why year after year there's the same stuff coming out, because we're just having to take what's there.
We've got the added challenge now that we've got to try not to fall under this compelling need to make money and to go under the trap of making trashy TV just for the money, which we don't want to do.
Like these shrines with non-functional decoration.
But even some of the programmes I really want to watch, shows designed to educate, inform as well as entertain, are let down for me by another of my pet hates.
At Saqqara, we see two conflicting artistic visions. In the hall and the shrines.
Dan Cruikshank, like a lot of elderly males on British television, thinks that by waving his hands around is going to be more interesting. He isn't. It's a complete switch off.
As if it looks.
Dan Cruikshank's jerky gesturing could put me off history programmes forever. David Attenborough's understated approach, however, might teach histrionic presenters a thing or two. His nature programmes are superlative.
And top of the menu right now is salmon.
There are other programmes of quality, but when it comes to news, how come it's become so formulaic and weak?
But it's lost its zest, it's lost its gusto, and I think in a very real sense it's lost its fundamental honesty as well.
And another thing, how far can soaps go with their underdressed characters and oversexed storylines?
There is the danger that soap will eat itself, you know, and that you will absolutely just bore viewers.
When television isn't neglecting us, too often it's patronising or insulting us. Do programme makers think we're thick or something?
I'm constantly surprised at the schlock that they will watch and lap up week after week after week.
Forget everything you thought you knew about how to catch a killer.
Criminal Minds. The new series starts 7th of September on 5.
I'm running a competition to find somebody who really wants to be a home stager.
Interior design may look like a ball.
You have just devalued this house.
But who dare dance with Anne Maurice?
Why are you here? You guys are going home. The 4 of you are going. You will be going home.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. You're going home.
You can go now.
This person is going to carry my name and my reputation. They better be good.
Will she find a worthy partner? Anne Maurice Interior Rivalry starts 9 o'clock Thursday on 5.
When I first did Wogan, I was told not to say anything for the first 30 seconds because people at home would be looking at my hair and my clothes. Well, I hope you're going to listen to what I have to tell you tonight.
I recently joined Terry on his UK TV Gold show Now and Then. Terry, as any Radio 2 fan who listens to him regularly knows, has a forthright view of the industry that employs him. Even he can't bear watching TV these days.
I never watch myself, never. That's too embarrassing. I don't listen to myself like that. Never. Because the person you're looking at is a kind of extension of yourself, and you think, I'm not sure I like who this person has become.
I know the feeling. But who is television aimed at?
They're obsessed on television with youth. You know, we must get the male audience 16 to 25. You say, why? They're not there. They're not watching anything. You're seeking an audience that isn't there. And I mean, this search for... And youth gets older anyway.
But television today should be so much more than it is, and I'm doing this show to try and put that into words, to try and explain.
I think it should be more realistic, aimed more realistically at the people who are actually watching it. In other words, one of the reasons Radio 2 is so successful is that the demographic is correct, that it's aimed at the kind of people who are listening to it. It's aimed at its core audience. There's not enough television that is aimed at the, I mean, they're getting the message slowly with things like Strictly Come Dancing, but it's taking a long time for the penny. They'll still say to you, this old marketing thing, oh, we must get the young male. He's out.
He's out doing this thing, isn't he?
He's not watching the telly.
He's certainly not. I know. But they will, it'll come swinging round again, I've no doubt.
It'll be aimed at the old fogies again. Old geezers. I'm going to leave you to the makeup man.
Yes.
The worst of the depredations. Be kind, Joe. Be kind to her.
Ladies and gentlemen, Selina Scott.
Terry Wogan is one of the exceptions who only occasionally works alongside a female co-presenter. Most older men are regularly given a pretty young woman to dress the set. Years back, when I launched breakfast television in the UK, I know I was there not only as Frank Boff's co-presenter, but also to be seen in the role of the second or trophy wife. How depressing that that formula with a few tweaks is still the same today.
To be honest, we've never gone out to say we're looking for an old geezer and a young girl. It's just not the way it is. To name names, you know, we have Nick Owen, who's fantastically experienced and is still around, and he's often paired, yes, with Katie Derham, who's absolutely gorgeous, and with Nina Hossain. But at the same time, you know, where are the older female anchors? I'm not quite sure where they are.
What does Deborah mean when she says she doesn't know where the older anchors are? Surely any woman in television over 40 these days is considered old. Men are luckier, but even a veteran BBC reporter like Martin Bell has plenty of first-hand experience of age discrimination. He came to the end of his usefulness with the BBC at the age of 54.
I've never gone that much on looks. Sandy Gall and I were once described as having faces like the relief maps of the countries we were covering, which in his case was Afghanistan and mine was Bosnia, neither of which is blessed with regular features. Then I see these incredibly sort of good-looking couples, but you'll notice the age difference. They get this from local news in the States again. There is the grey-haired, distinguished, authoritative man and the trophy wife. Now, and look at the way they stand. The authoritative man will be face onto the camera, and the trophy wife will like that, you see. It's totally distracting and unreal.
I think that, generally speaking, the media has become much more pop than it used to be, and that's affected television as well. So I think in that given that sort of background, the television producers and bosses will want perhaps good-looking young women on television to draw viewers. They want the young viewer, understandably. So this is one way of getting them, and I think that's perhaps not doesn't serve the public interest best.
Which news do you listen to or watch? I mean, you obviously still are a news junkie.
There are some really good reporters out there, but they're surrounded by mediocrity, by illiteracy, and by a retreat from reality. I find the best of the old-style television I'll find from time to time on Newsnight, I'll find it on Channel 4 News, and occasionally, very selectively, on the main channels.
I can't be bothered watching the news at 10:30. I go to bed relatively early and I get up early in the morning. And I tend to work early in the morning, if I'm writing or something like that. So it depends very much on that.
Would you ever consider having, as a lot of American men like you have had, plastic surgery to make themselves look younger?
No, I think one should grow old gracefully or even disgracefully. There's nothing wrong with being old. In fact, I'm rather pleased to be old because I always found old people more interesting than young people because they've lived more.
You turn on to news these days, and it looks like a game show.
Mr. Blair's #1 loner ranger was arrested today.
You see these presenters in their very tight suits, standing there like they're Bruce Forsyth. You expect them to say, "Come on down," or some other rather daft sort of analogy with Bruce Forsyth and play your cards right, or something like that. I mean, how they can tell you about bombs going off in Iraq and other serious affairs, I just can't take it seriously.
It was a year
It's
ago
news as entertainment. The Mannequin Boys are news as entertainment. And every time I watch them, I'm actually reminded of the 1970s comedy show, Are You Being Served? For those of you who've seen that, there's quite a lot of you out there who will have seen that, think of Captain Peacock. They look like an old-fashioned floor walker walking across the shop floor saying, "Can I help you, sir?"
News as a business is highly competitive. Whatever audiences are available have to be grabbed and kept a hold of, especially in these days of increasingly fractured multi-channel audiences.
I do think that news has to move. News can't stay just behind a wooden desk in a little box room. If we don't innovate and move on, then we'll die. We have to find new ways of engaging the audience and making our shows exciting and interesting. Now, there are some people who don't like change wherever it lies. There's got to be a catch. There's got to be something new to bring people in. And one of those things, and one small thing in our armoury of new ways of getting people to watch, is, I hope, a sense of liveliness, a sense of dynamism, which comes through having the reporters not strapped into seats behind the desk, but moving around, interacting with pictures, and talking to the viewers in a new and different way.
I'm all for new and different if it's allied with the sense that news is universal. Too often the news is all about America. When do we get to know on a daily basis about, say, South America or Europe? There is a bias against understanding the rest of the world. And another thing, why is it there's not one older woman on any British news channel today?
Well, there's a special vitriol reserved for older women on TV. I mean, any woman over 50 is considered a hag, by and large. And this was best exemplified by, I think, Gordon Ramsay in Hell's Kitchen, when he described Edwina Currie as an old woman who just refuses to die. I mean, it was so cruel. Jenny Bond on I'm a Celebrity was just called a slag. And Lord Brocket said he wanted to strangle her. Although, to be fair, sometimes the girls fight back.
Jenny was seen to be, in her way, fighting back, but I'm outraged that she had to submerge herself in a rat-infested coffin to get back on the box. Jenny's agent and mine is Sue Ayton. She negotiated the Down Under deal.
Why did she do it? Because, I mean, she had to have rats, if I recall.
I know,
We're all crawling all over.
Well, she didn't know that before she went. She wanted to have some fun. She thought it'd be very good, and she just went for it. And the real Jenny was there, had a great time. You know, even though she did all those horrendous things, it did work for her in lots of ways. Some of them did go on to do other big things.
At the moment, it seems that there isn't very many role models for these younger people who are talented to follow.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they've got to have role models rather than they just aspire to the Big Brother type of reality contestants, and that's not real television at all. It can't be. That's just an event that happens every now and again, and obviously keeps the the television industry going, because it makes a lot of money in phone calls and everything else.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chantal!
Chantal was the model slash Paris Hilton lookalike slash promotions girl from Essex.
Chantal Houghton is the ultimate example of celebrity for the sake of it. She got her big break on Big Brother, pretending to be a pop star.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner, Chantal!
Now she's got her own show as a matchmaker on a programme created to play to her obvious talents.
Can I ask you a question? Are you single?
No,
Oh, you've got a girlfriend? Oh, right, okay, not to worry.
Chantal's Dream Dates, a perfect showcase for other youngsters to emulate? No?
Chantal, she did a quiz on GMTV. The girl cannot speak. You know, congratulations on winning Big Brother. I'm really delighted for you. You know, it was great for a laugh. But please don't turn her into a multimillionaire and trying to make her a TV star. She's not, and she never will be.
There's been a lot of criticism out there about certain shows on television which depict cruelty. Trini and Susanna, for example, or cosmetic surgery, even, obviously, Big Brother. Does the weight of morality sit heavily on your shoulders? I mean, do you ever think of the effect that these shows are going to have on the people involved? It's a long question for a simple answer.
What I think about when I commission is, will people watch it? Would I watch it? How do we get people to watch it? I did Cosmetic Surgery Live. I was very clear from the outset what that programme was going to be. I wanted it to be no holds barred. I wanted it to be shocking, surprising, funny, outrageous, to take you to places that you'd never been before as a viewer in terms of cosmetic surgery. I think if you take on the individual responsibility for every single viewer, you're doomed.
That's it. That's what we want.
John is keen for the sow to be aware of Clint the Boar.
This from the man also responsible for another twist on reality, The Farm, a show that caused a stink when Rebecca Lewis milked a boar. In a later exercise in animal husbandry, contestants continued with some essential rear-end maintenance of a sow.
How do you know what viewers actually want?
Multi-channel has had a huge impact, and I think people have more choice. And I think we all have to up our game and offer, it's this terrible dichotomy between offering what you think the British public want and actually what they really want. Never underestimate the taste of the great British public, I think Oscar Wilde or somebody said. And you'd be surprised. I am constantly surprised at the schlock that they will watch and lap up week after week after week.
But babe, I'm gonna get you back.
Horrendous.
No!
Yes, absolutely horrendous. Girls, come on.
On X Factor, Simon Cowell is the male version of Trini and Susanna. He's infamous for flooring anyone with aspirations to stardom, and yet contestants are not deterred.
Have you ever videotaped yourselves so as you can watch yourselves back?
No.
Earlier this summer, thousands of would-be celebrities hoping they had the X Factor queued in the rain in Manchester for a chance to get in on the fame game.
Sequins and feathers.
I mean, everyone wants to be famous, you know what I mean? It's the glitz and the glamour, but I mean, it's also something that comes from within. It's not just about being famous.
I think famous would be brilliant.
Oh my God, he's got loads of makeup on! He's got more makeup on than me!
Well, I think I can handle it. I think I'm old enough now and I've done quite a lot of stuff in my life that I could handle the fame.
As soon as you get into the work, all the glamour side of it just drops, completely drops. It's less glamour and more of a really, really difficult industry to get into.
I believe that there is a lot of nonsense on television at the moment, and I wanted to learn the trade to be able to, in some small way, improve that. Not necessarily with the ideas, but the way production values are implemented in programmes, so that there isn't quite so much nonsense filling airtime as there currently is.
You've got to do it for the love of it, and I want to do it because I want to make, not a difference, but I want to make television that's different and that's not like everything that we're seeing today, and maybe start to change people's perception of it as well.
It is touching to find young people who have ambitions to make television better But many youngsters these days are hugely influenced by what they see on the soaps, dominating schedules on every channel. Simple storylines are dramatised to attract more and more younger viewers, regardless of the impact on the way in which they lead their lives.
They're taking a short break here on the set of Hollyoaks, and I've been watching them. They've worked really hard. Most of them are half-dressed. It's freezing cold. It's a bitterly cold day in summer. So much for the glamorous life, I think, that a lot of actors think they're letting themselves in for when they get into the whole business of television. It's considered to be one of the most fashionable businesses in town, and most kids, if they put their hands on their hearts, would love to do a course in media studies. But I really wonder sometimes what they're letting themselves in for.
At old soap favourite Coronation Street, which always did a nice line in dialogue, took a decision some time back to ensnare younger viewers with ever more sensational storylines, like teenager Sarah Louise and her mum, discovering that she hadn't been eating too much after all.
Has put on some weight is because she's pregnant.
Hollyoaks is almost primarily aimed at a young audience. At its heart, tales of sex, drugs, love. But are these the kind of things we want our young people identifying with? And soaps, aired almost nightly, are insatiable beasts that need more and more corny stories to keep them fed and thriving.
I think that one of the most important things in soap is to give people more than what they want and to leave them always wanting more as a result.
You see, the more you do it, of course, the more storylines you use up. And I mean, where do you end up?
There is the danger that soap will eat itself, you know, and that you will absolutely just bore viewers. You've always got to know when to stop the fights and the bombs and the affairs and actually tell a genuine human interest story about characters just getting along, a true love story or a love triangle that can always kind of take the place of the big blockbusters in order to you can sit back, take stock and plan your next blockbuster in a year's time or whatever. There's always that kind of fine balance.
And on the set of Hollyoaks, the writers are working at creating a new set of storylines for the autumn. Insidiously, the influence of Big Brother reaches this far too.
We're introducing a bunch of new students to Hollyoaks in September, and based on the way Big Brother manipulates them, and there's always some pretty vile characters amongst those Big Brother inhabitants, we have considered not copying exactly, but kind of adapting some of the characteristics of popular Big Brother housemates into our student halls in a way that it's clear that kids and younger viewers need that kind of thrill, they need the cruelty, they need it to be drawn in, and so absolutely it's kind of influenced some of the decisions we've made on the show.
A lot of what I've said in this programme will be dismissed out of hand by those running today's television. They may even claim it's payback time because I don't work in British telly anymore. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have more than enough to keep me occupied in my life. I simply don't rely on television for stimulation. And I know thousands will agree with me.
The bar for limboing down is almost as low as it can go for television. You'd think you couldn't get any lower. And it was intriguing that the son of Logie Baird, who invented television all those years ago, said the other day that if his father could come back to life and see British television as it is today, he would throw up his hands in horror and wish he had never invented this devil's medium and that he would have gone off and invented something else. And who can blame him?
The technical advances have absorbed a lot of money, and I think the proliferation of television channels and stations has overtaken the availability of good material. There are so many hours to be filled. I get the impression that the programmers have a low budget and they're having to work very, very hard to gather that audience. They're trying to say, hey, look at me. You know, I'm doing this, I'm saying that. And it's a form of exhibitionism. And for the person at home watching it, they can see through it.
British television's come a long way in 60 years, but it's got a long way to go to rescue its reputation. Too many programmes aim for the dizzying heights of the lowest common denominator, and I know I'm not alone in despairing at what's on offer. Television executives should start to listen to the millions out there like me. Otherwise, British television, as far as I'm concerned, can disappear up its own remote control.
Comedian and co-writer and director of Jerry Springer the Opera, Stuart Lee, asks what's wrong with blasphemy in Don't Get Me Started next Tuesday at 7:15 here on 5. Next tonight, Perfect Disaster.